All right guys, today we're gonna use a laser machine on this 1965 VW Beetle. This is the SFX laser cleaning machine. This is the BL2000. A lot of guys have been asking about it and wanted me to try it out on the Beetle. So we're gonna try it out on the Beetle today. This is 19 gauge metal. It's pretty rusty, but there's still some original paint on here. There's also some body fillers where they had fixed some of the panels years ago. So we'll see how it reacts with that. We're gonna try it on some of these heavier rusty areas. We might even try it on the bumper because this bumper is pretty much toast. So we'll see how it reacts to this, whatever's left of this chrome here. I've also got a hood from the 1967 Carmagia. We're restoring this car. Let's see how it reacts to this. This is some of the original paint here and a little bit of patina, a little rust. So we'll see how it acts with that. Maybe we'll try a couple other things. Let's do it. All right guys, this thing's pretty cool. I've used it before and it works, but it's not like sandblasting. It's not like using a sander or a DA. It's different. It's a laser and it lasers it off. So let's take a look at it and see how it works. All right, let's fire it up. Let's start at 25%. We'll do the frequency at 25. Duty, 100% duty. Air on, air off, delays. 200, I'm not sure what that does, but. All right, let's try it. This is the laser gun. And there's a cap on it right now. I gotta undo that cap. Alright guys, these are Raycon's everyday earbuds, and they just got even better. Their upgraded model now features active noise cancellation. That's pretty cool. Raycon's come in a variety of colors. Carbon black, royal blue, lavender, forest green. I picked the royal blue. I think it looks really good. Guys, these are great for all kinds of activities. I like to go for a walk because I can listen to a podcast or music. If I need to pick up the phone, I can answer the phone. I really enjoy using them when I'm go for a walk because I can kind of get into my own world. Guys, you can charge in 10 minutes and get 90 minutes of battery. They have pure sound, balanced sound, and bass sound. These are the equalizer settings that you can choose from. Raycon earbuds block out background noise like no other, and their new model offers built-in active noise cancellation. Raycon has sold over 3 million of their previous everyday earbuds. They're sweat and water resistant, IP66. Also dustproof, built to withstand the occasional left in pocket, went through the washing machine experience, being left outside in the rain. No problem, they're IP66 water resistant. Alright guys, click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/xxx to get 15% off your Raycon purchase plus free shipping. All right, let's take a close look at what we did. This is where we started. And you can see all the little lines where it's cutting through. That laser just goes back and forth high speed. And you can adjust that rate on how fast it goes and how wide it goes. And you can adjust the heat, the temperature. This was starting to get pretty hot. 250, 260. But it cools off pretty quick. Right now it's 120, so But I was hitting it for a while. $150. It's warm. It's definitely warm, but you can see right there, it went right down to the bare metal. So this is where there wasn't a lot of rust. There was just some of the original paint left. And it ate through it pretty good, right down to the metal. But you can see it leaves little, it does etch into the metal, just a hair. So you would need to go back over this with a DA, an 80 grit DA, and I'll show you that here in a second, to smooth it out and get it ready for epoxy primer, and then to do your body work. But you would definitely need to smooth that out a little bit more, for sure. So the laser will turn off after a few seconds. I think you can adjust the time on when it turns off. If for some reason there's an emergency, you can just hit this button here. It has a fan. The fan will come on when it's hot. It's pretty cool. Here's the computer part. This is where the laser and all that stuff is, I guess. You have to put water in it. Water keeps the laser cool. It runs through here, kind of like a radiator. It runs through this hose and keeps the, I guess it keeps the fiber optic laser cable cool. So as soon as you get down here with the water, you want to fill it back up with distilled water. All right. So you can fill it here. You can drain it here. And it doesn't use much at all. Some of the other, so you saw that fan just kicked on, cool it off. There's some other consumables. There's a lens in here. See how the air, there's airflow going through there to keep the dust off the lens. You can see the lens down in there. There's a protective lens, so if that gets dirt on it, it'll create a spot, like a burn mark, and you have to change out that lens. But the lenses are pretty cheap. I think they're $4 or $5 a piece. I've only had to change one so far, and I've used it for a couple hours, I guess, on a bunch of different stuff. So as long as you got good airflow behind you, you shouldn't have to change it too often. I'm definitely not a pro at this, guys, so if you want to learn like more technical, detailed stuff, you can go on their website and look at all their data sheets and look at some of the videos they've made and some of the information that's on their website. And there's other YouTube videos too that go into detail about how this thing works. But you know, for someone that's never used something like this, I had it up and running pretty quick. You know, you're gonna need 2 legs of 120 for a total of 240, 230, 240, whatever it's called, basically. High power. So it'll make that noise for a while it's cooling off. And then you can also just turn it off. That's an emergency button. You can just turn it off here. There's another emergency shut off in here. I don't ever mess with that one. There's a key. Comes with keys, so you can turn it off, take the key home with you, and no one can mess with it. You gotta have the key, and you gotta have a password to get in. But yeah, that thing's pretty cool. Let's try it on this. 128, 140. All right, guys. So you definitely want to try to have a fan behind you, blowing the smoke outside. We're out here in the country. This barn is wide open. You definitely want to have plenty of open space because it does create fumes. I would definitely wear a gas mask, the protective glasses. You could even wear gloves and a face shield and all that stuff, but want to protect your lungs and your eyes for sure. It's an interesting application. You do see there it gets, it does get hot, but it cools down pretty quick. I don't know at what point, I don't know what temperature, 19 gauge starts to warp. I'm not sure. Hopefully it's not around 250 or 300. Hopefully it's hotter than that, because right now I think the hottest I saw was around 250, 260, 270 maybe. And that's if you concentrate on an area for a while. Like I was hitting this area pretty hard. You can kind of see there's the bare metal. You can see all the lines, and that's where there's still paint and primer and rust. So if you just keep going, it'll finally get down to bare metal, but it does etch the bare metal. I'm not sure what grit that is, but we're gonna find out here. I'm gonna put the DA on here. I'm gonna do the DA right here and see what it looks like when we're done using a piece of DA, 80 grit. Let's try 80 grit on a DA. This is a brand new piece, and see if those marks go away. The DA is getting around 115. It's not taking them all out. Let's try another sheet. All right, I got a fresh sheet on here. Let's try this area right here. All right, you can see it's better, but you can still see there's marks in there. It's real smooth. The 80 grit gets the metal real smooth. I'm not sure if you'd have to start with maybe a 60 and take a little bit more metal off to get down into the scratches. I'm not sure. Or just not worry about it and put your primer on top of it, do your body work, and put a couple more layers of, you know. I can definitely feel some lows and highs in the metal here. Not sure if that's from the heat or if it's just from the way it was. There's some little dips and there's some highs and lows. But yeah, we're getting down to metal. So, you know, is it good for auto body, paint removal, primer removal? You know, you're gonna have to make that decision. I think there's some value to it, but at the same time, there's other ways to get it done. Let's use the DA next to this here, and we'll see how long it takes me to get down to bare metal right here versus what we got done with the laser. Fresh sheet. All right, guys, we're running out of air. I have my air compressor disconnected so we could plug in the laser machine. So I'm gonna have to unplug it to get some more air back in it. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you real quick. You know, we broke through the metal. We broke through metal pretty quick. And it's a nice, you know, even 80 grit tooth here versus whatever this is, you know. If you're doing auto body, this is probably the way to go. Obviously, if you could sandblast it first, if you've got a really good sandblaster, you could sandblast this first and then you could go back over it with DA. But honestly, you know, if you got a good compressor, lots of good DA and some 80 grit, maybe even start with 40 or 60, knock off that top layer, and then finish it off with 80. It's probably the way to go. Now, there definitely are some applications for this. There are applications for this that I think will work great. You know, I think it works great on heavier steel, stuff like this. Stuff that maybe is already doesn't have a lot of paint on it, and you just want to knock off surface rust. Stuff that's on a, maybe like on a frame or hard to get to places. There's definitely applications for it. But for body panels, you're probably better off going with a DA. Let's see. Let's try it on that chrome bumper before I plug the compressor back in. Let's mess around with the laser a little bit more. Also, I want to try it on this. This was a new piece of metal that I purchased a couple years ago, and then it sat around and it got all rusty, but it was bare metal, brand new bare metal. They didn't protect it when they shipped it to me. It was just bare metal. And this, you know, it was worse than this. I've already cleaned this up a lot, but there's a lot of little areas I can't get to. So I'm gonna hit this. Maybe it can get into these little areas that I can't really get into. So I turned the power down to 50% and I turned the frequency down to 40%. So you can see under 50% power, it's still hot. 170, 180, 100, almost 190. This thinner metal, and it's also bare metal, gets hotter quicker. So that's something to keep in mind as well. It's definitely hotter than this. And I could actually see it warp a little bit because of the heat. Yeah, it's hot. $160, $180. So we'll let that cool down. It did evaporate, you know, it did vaporize the surface rust, no doubt about it. So if you've got some, you know, funky little crevices and stuff, this might be an option. You could also put Ospo on it and hit it with Scotch Brite, you know. You could dip it in a rust removal chemical like Ospo or some other rust eater. But yeah, I mean, it does have some applications. I mean, I'm just trying to show you guys what's possible. Obviously, there's some different settings in there that you can mess with and probably achieve better results. But from a novice, you know, first time user, well, I've used it a few times, and I've messed with the settings. You know, you've got high, low, different frequency settings. But yeah, it definitely feels like this little area may have gotten warped a little bit. I'm not sure if it was from the heat from the laser or if it was just like that. You know, maybe somebody had hit on it over the years. Let's try it on the bumper. Let's turn it up. $110, $200. Yeah, this area got warm right here, and I was hitting that a lot. But you know, it's basically vaporizing the top layer, and then it creates this layer of carbon, and sometimes there's still rust underneath it that you'd have to scrape this off and then hit it again. So I mean, I think there's applications for it, guys. You can kind of see right there where it just barely hit that paint for a second, and it does start to take it away. So if you could dial in the settings and you had specific applications you needed to use it for, you could probably get some use out of it. But it's not for the average guy. Things they're expensive, so it's not really practical for the average person. But for some sort of industry where they need to clean, you know, rust and paint and stuff, could possibly be useful. All right, a couple more things I want to show you. This piece of engine tin, it was originally painted black. You can see where it's rusted away. Also, on this Porsche 914 over here, I've done a lot of metal work on this thing. I've DA'd all this, got all the paint off this area, then I put Ospo, and now it's started to rust again. I want to just hit that real quick and just see how quickly it cleans that up. Yeah, you can see it cleans it up pretty good. There's still some on there, you have to hit it a few more times, but you can come back over it with the DA. It was eating some of this red paint away pretty quick. That's interesting. Yeah, so you can definitely see it's working on stuff like that. I think this is stuff like this where it's hard to get to with the DA. This might be a good area to kind of get in between these little cracks and crevices here, stuff like this. Stuff down in there, it's hard to get to. Let's try hitting it on this real quick and see if we can clean some of that up a little bit. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in this laser, I'll leave a link below. Also, make sure you check out Raycon. Those earbuds are awesome. Click on the link below. It helps the channel. I appreciate it, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Later.